with all of the national championships happenings, there's bound to be some controversy, and there was. And, you know, the hands of the face call really wasn't as big of an issue this tournament as I thought it would be, and that's because the referees beforehand, they kind of looked at everything going on with hands of the face, and they said, we don't want to cost somebody a national title. And there were 3 matches in particular that there were just some crazy calls. The first is the semifinals match between Hayden Hidlay and Jason Nolf. Then 2 are actually finals matches between Nick Suriano and Daton Fix, and we have Yanni versus McKenna. So I'm going to go into each of these, just talking about the controversial call, what happened, what my thoughts are on each of them. First of all, Hidlay versus Null. These 2 wrestled at 157 pounds in the semifinals. In the first period, Hidlay had what looked like a takedown at the end of the period, and this would have been huge for the match going into the second period. This call, so Hidlay was in on the legs. He took Nolf down, but Nolf, of course, I mean, he can get out of any position. He had the whizzer and ended up getting the whizzer out, but he had his hand on the mat, but as the whizzer came out, his hand came up, Hidlay came around, and it was called, originally it was called a takedown. It was reversed, the call on the officials' review. And to be honest with you, I don't think this was a takedown. Now, and for the sole reason that I believe his hand was off the mat. Now, if you told me that it was a takedown and these are your reasons why, I understand. You know, this was a split-second decision, a split second that it looks like Nolf had his hand off the mat. That's why I don't think he had it. Now, Nolf, of course, ended up winning that match and ended up winning the title, but, you know, what would have happened if Hidlay would have won? That was pretty darn crazy. And then it was a pretty close takedown at the end of that match as well. And throughout this entire tournament, there were, I believe, 120 some reviews, which is like double the past couple of years. Now, 27 of those calls were actually overturned, but not too many of them were overturned. And another one that was not overturned, but listen, Nick Suriano and Daton Fix always wrestle these crazy matches. They wrestled in high school for 30 minutes straight because of this unlimited overtime. Then, this past season, they wrestled, and there was a controversial hands of the face call, stalling calls, and it happened again in the national finals. I couldn't believe my eyes when I was seeing all this. So, of course, Fix was leading 1-0 going into the second period with an escape. There was a hands to the face challenge from John Smith. And let me tell you, I was in the arena. Boos were raining throughout. People were so mad about this hands of the face challenge. And John Smith just likes to challenge these very minute details. And in my opinion, it's kind of ridiculous that you're going to challenge all of these little things like hands of the face. But guess what? It's the rules, so we have to give it to him. If the rule is if he can't touch your face, and John Smith challenges that, he's just following the rules. Is it ridiculous? Yes. But is it called for? Sure. But anyway, so he called that hands of the face, did not get that. Then throughout the entire rest of the match, really, Soriano, it was 1-1 after the third, but with a lot of his riding time that he had, Soriano kept hanging onto his ankle, kept hanging on to Fix's ankle, and he kept getting that count because you can't hang on to that ankle for too long, for more than 5 seconds, and he ended up getting a stalling call, getting a stalling point for Daton Fix, who ended up getting points from that. But anyway, in overtime, now in one of the sudden victory rideouts, Daton Fix threw the boots in. He was up 2-1. He was up 2-1 because of that stalling call. Threw the boots in, and he was riding Nick out. I thought that was it. But then, for whatever reason, a stalemate got called. There were 9 seconds left. Nick Suriano escapes. They go to another period, and this is where the call really comes into play. Is Fix was going in on a shot, didn't end up getting it, and Soriano looked like he grabbed the headgear and then ended up going in for a shot, getting taken down. He celebrated because he won. Well, John Smith saw that there was a headgear grab. Daton Fix looked like he stopped wrestling because he was like, are you kidding me? He just grabbed his headgear. I mean, maybe that's a lesson that you should never stop wrestling, but, not that I'm a coach, not that I'm telling Fix what to do by any means, but this was a very, very interesting call looking afterwards. And, I think Soriano out-wrestled him. I really do think that Nick Suriano out-wrestled Daton Fix the entire match because of how he's looking the entire tournament. But that match, he was just going after him. And there wasn't a whole lot of action on each of these guys' feet, but I think Soriano overall looked pretty good. This call, the officials reviewed it. They kind of said it was just like a push out of the way, but to me, it looked like he had 5 fingers. And the unfortunate part for Soriano is I don't think he's going to live this down. I think that there's always going to be a little asterisk on his national title, which is very unfortunate. And that's why I think he really needs to go hard this next season and get another national title to show these people, he's not just some chump. It's who won off of a call or anything like that. He's actually the rightful guy to win this. So that was that controversial call. And the third controversial call was in Yanni versus McKenna. So this match, did Yanni have full control on his takedown? So it was 3-2 in favor of McKenna in the third period. There were about 15-20 seconds left, and these guys were scrambling like they always do. Well, Yanni ended up getting the takedown, or looking like he had the takedown. He threw his leg over McKenna, who had shot in, threw his leg over. He had maybe control for 1 second, and that's kind of what the refs were seeing, and that went to review, and they did say that Yanni had control for enough time and ended up getting flipped out. McKenna got the escape, and it ended up being tied up, went to overtime. Yanni got this crazy takedown in OT, but was that a takedown that Yanni had? That's one where I don't know if that was a takedown, and I feel bad for McKenna if that was the case. But with all of these 3 things, at this point, it doesn't matter. These guys are national champs. Nolf, Soriano, and Yanni. They're all national champs, so these calls really don't matter at this point. But how can we handle these moving forward? Well, maybe the biggest thing would be a third-party review. These are the refs, the same refs. They make the call, then they go out on the side of the mat, they review their decision, and is there enough evidence to point either way? That's kind of what they're reviewing. Maybe there should be a third party in the back room, and not at every tournament, not at every match, but just for the national tournament. This is the biggest stage in wrestling. There should be very extreme evidence to go in one or other direction, and we need to have a third-party review from another ref in a back room who's actually able to see what's going on. That way, also, the refs that are on the mat aren't really getting booed or threatened of their life, which I'm sure a couple of these fans have threatened their life, crazy ones. But that's it. These 3 guys are national champs. There's not much we can do about it now, but let me know what you think can be done about it in the future.